Hey everybody. So I want to talk a little bit about the healing process, and really this is mostly sharing from my personal life here. So this is not some academic lesson from a textbook, even though I tend to love those sort of things sometimes. I think it's probably just some sort of help to hear it from somebody else who's gone through what you're going through. And just sort of hear about what I've been through. You can make some comparisons, and you know, maybe your situation is different, maybe not so much. And then how I've made it through and where I'm at now. So the good news is I'm at a point in my life where things have been fairly peaceful for about 8 or 9 months. There's been very little drama in my life, and I've managed to do that with several key strategies. I think strategy number one is I keep to myself. That has been by far the most valuable strategy to have. Some of you can probably tell by this video I'm an extrovert by nature. I like to socialize. I like to talk. If you look at my video list, you'll see I like to talk. This guy is a talker. He doesn't shut up. You know, that's me. But at work, I don't socialize with people. I don't do group lunches. I don't go to lunch with coworkers. I avoid happy hours. I don't hang out with coworkers. I don't consider them friends. Now, don't get me wrong. There are coworkers that it doesn't keep me from caring about them or loving them as people and having good work relationships with them. But I've learned that I should, the way I define my relationship with people at work is exactly that. We work together. That's what we do. That's our relationship. We work, and together we stay employed. Right? That's my relationship with coworkers, and that's the only way I define it. We don't do the whole let's go out and drink. We don't go out to lunch. I don't do any of that. I don't stand around the coffee maker talking about Jane, you know, or Jane's new hairdo, which is fabulous, by the way. I just don't talk about it. So that's been one key strategy. I don't really socialize. The people I do socialize with, I have their phone numbers memorized, or they are people that play a key pivotal role in my life. For about the last 2 or 3 years, we've used the same babysitter because I work mornings, my wife works nights, and so we have a babysitter that keeps the kids for a few hours. You know, we pay her to do that. And for about the last few years, we've been pretty kind of standoffish because at first we're like, well, you know, we don't want to mess this up because, you know, we watch our children, etc. So only more recently have we begun to actually hang out with our babysitter and her husband, and it's been great. It's been a long time coming, but you know, we've made it together for several years, so you know, we'll try it out a little bit. So we go over there, we let the kids hang out, we have game night. You know, the men do their man thing and the women do their women thing, and the kids do their kid thing. So it's great. But in the last 5 years, they're about the only new friends that I hang out with on such a personal level. Everybody else I hang out with are my children and my wife and the cat, which, as you all know, if you've been on this channel for a while, my cat's an asshole. Actually, he's come around. He's a pretty decent cat now. I've succeeded in making him more like a dog. So now he's bearable. But in any case, that has been the number one contributor to moving ahead, is to just reel in the social interactions, fill my time with things I care about and people I care about, and not getting too not getting socially exposed as much as possible, or completely. You know, I don't have any coworkers on my Facebook friends list. So I have an ex-coworker, and that's about as far as it gets. He doesn't get along with anybody I work with. They fired him. So there you go. I don't really have to worry about the grapevine a whole lot. So the next thing that has helped a lot is learning how to effectively manage the toxic people that I'm still exposed to, and probably will be exposed to for a long time. I've learned that they've burned out, so I've been fully discarded. It has been 3 to 5 years in the making, right? But it's finally there. And I won't talk about specific events, but let's just say that every single toxic person in my life, I have been steadily and proactively taking defensive measures against their manipulation tactics, called them out when they were wrong, and I've learned something. When you catch them in the wrong, all it takes is saying, you know, good, whatever context it may be. Like, it could be a mother, it could be a father, it could be your ex-spouse, it could be a friend, it could be, I already said spouse, a partner, significant other, whatever that is. A friend. You say, good friends don't do whatever it is. You know, good mothers don't do that. Good fathers don't do this. Good wives don't do this. Good husbands don't do that. And it has to be a legitimate point. You know, if it's something like them being controlling, like taking the car away, you know, and say, good husbands don't take their wives' cars away just because they're angry. It's not what being a good person is. You can even make it a generic. Good people don't do this kind of thing. Good people don't withhold money from their partners because of a conflict, right? Good people don't do these things. And I have found that to be amazingly effective, because it's hard to argue that, because the first thing they're going to say is, but that's not what I'm doing. Or, you know, and they try to distract it, they try to distract it, or they try to spin it back on you, and you just say that. I don't care about anything else. I really don't care. I do not care. Right? Because that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to try and put it off onto, they're going to change the subject to something that you care about. Right? They're going to find a segue for it to be to something you care about, and then they're going to say, oh, well, you don't care about that, and say, well, you're changing the subject. You're changing the subject. I'm trying to get the conflict resolved here. I don't think that's what you're trying to do. You're not trying to solve anything. You're trying to get out of it. Let's talk about the things you are doing that you need to stop. That's all we're talking about. I'm talking to you about bad behaviors that you should stop. That's the subject. And if you just say, okay, I'm willing to stop, then we don't have a problem. But that thing you're doing is a problem, and it should stop. Otherwise, the problem's not going to go away, because the problem is your behavior. And as long as you continue to behave that way, there's going to be this problem here. I don't give a damn about whatever else we're talking about. Why are you looping the children in? Why are you looping the finances in? Why are you looping the friends in? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this specific behavior is a problem. You need to stop it. For as long as you don't stop it, there's going to be a problem. And then stick to it, because they're going to keep trying to do things, and you say, well, as I've said before, that's a problem. So, surprise, we have a problem. That's no surprise. So, and that's been that just over time, just sticking, knowing and understanding that when you have a point, they're going to always try to change the subject and shift the blame to you and say, well, I'm only doing this because you do blank. You say, well, do something different then. Well, what should I do? Shut the fuck up. There's an idea. It's like, so what? So I should just keep my mouth shut when you do blah, 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 blah? Basically, yeah. And you have to be vigilant and consistent, and don't fall for the bait of changing the subject, putting it on you, because they're going to do that. And just after a while, it gets repetitive, and they don't want to yield. They don't want to give that up. But it's really just a matter of time and being consistent over time, and be patient, and know that what you're doing is, you're breaking down the rock with a hammer, right? You're breaking it down slowly but surely. Eventually they will crack, and eventually they will replace you. And that's what you have to go for, because you can't get rid of a narcissist. You can only give them to somebody else. They're like a gypsy curse. You have to force them to replace you. And that's the name of the game. And until they replace you, they're just going to do what they can to stay in your life. And so you're not just going to get rid of me so easily. I'm sure I will eventually. I'm sure sooner or later you will realize I want nothing to do with you. So, and that's what you tell them when they're like, I don't give up and I don't quit and blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm sure one day you'll realize that I want nothing to do with you, and I won't have anything to do with you. We'll see how long it takes you to realize it. And yeah, the thing is it's one thing, and I'll leave y'all with this. It's one thing for you to say, I don't care. Right? I really don't care. I don't care. I do not care. They're not going to listen to that because you're also talking to them, right? And they think, well, as long as you're talking, then you must still care to some degree, right? And there is some truth to that. If you're still talking to them, then there's something that is connecting you to them that has made this conversation possible. One of the best examples is people who are co-parenting, right? You have the children. The children are always going to be grounds for there to be a conversation. Once the children are old enough where you can just talk to them yourself, you don't really need to communicate with the narcissist, the narcissistic parent. You don't need to communicate with them anymore. So that's the thing. Everything you do should be around communicating around the narcissist, so they're not involved. And that's really been about it. It's taken me 5 years. Actually, it was 2013, so it's been 7 years coming. It's been a very long time, and I still don't think I'm fully out of it, and I don't know that I ever will be, because I still have this tendency to be drawn to toxic people, and that's probably not going to ever go away. But I'm much smarter now, and I'm a lot more objective, and I've learned that the best way to keep toxic people out is to just be really, really, really vigilant about who I just let into my life. And that's been the hardest part for me, being extroverted and wanting to be social and having lots of friends, and realizing that my behavior in that regard is what has invited all the toxic people in over the years. And what's been really hard is to know and accept that that part of me contributes to the fault, and realizing that and actually changing myself to not let that happen. And from my perspective, I view it as I've become antisocial and I've become a hermit. But I think the reality of it is I've just become closer to normal. You know, I'm not so eager to make friends and eager to, you know, interact and talk and all of that stuff. So maybe I'm closer to normal. I don't know. All I know is that life is serene compared to where I was even just a year ago, 2 years, 5 years, 7 years ago. It's nice. So if you're still dealing with drama and conflict and all these negative things, and just know it does get better. It does get better. And sometimes it can be good for a while, and then all of a sudden the tsunami of negativity comes back in. That's okay. That's life. As long as your direction stays the same, things do improve, and eventually they will get tired of banging their head against the wall of trying to manipulate you and being unable to. And you just have to wait them out and have more patience than they do. So thank you for watching. Please like, comment, or share. Join the discussion on Facebook. I've got a Facebook group, Narcissistectomy. I've got about a dozen members, so we are a force to be reckoned with. We're a small but dedicated following, yeah, join the conversation there. Hang out, chat. We'd love to have you, and hopefully we see you there. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you on the next video.